right, welcome back to Paleo Maker MD. We've got a Coleman 520 today. This is a military stove, and we are going to take it apart, clean it up. We're not going to do a full restoration, but we're definitely going to get it looking much, much better. And that will start, of course, with draining our fuel. This is part of a series where I get these old stoves and get them working as best I can. Don't fear, this will also have an error in reassembly, which you will see later. We are taking off the funnel. The stove was not complete. It didn't have a couple of pieces, and actually I don't even go through that because I've ordered the replacement parts, which is just the spare tube or spare parts tube and stuff like that. Getting off our little handle here, little knob, and pulling out the pump assembly. Everything looks pretty good. There's a lot of rust. We're taking off these little pot supports. These are just cotter pins, and I got plenty of new ones, so we're going to take these out and replace them, and of course clean up the stove. Pretty simple to take apart, take off. You just want to pinch these together to the point that you can pull them back through the hole. Pretty easy. You can see there's a lot of surface rust, which we'll take care of. We'll take this. If anybody knows where I can get another bell like this one is pretty beat up. I'd love to get a new one, but I cannot find one. Colemanparts.com doesn't have that. You want to get this nut and just loosen it. And by loosening the nut, that will allow you to start to turn the entire assembly as far as the valve assembly. Now, I will tell you guys that this valve assembly is new. The first time I took this stove apart, which was before I started making these videos and before I really did anything, I broke the pickup tube on the bottom, being careless, and had to get a new valve. So this is a new valve. And I found using one of these open-ended wrenches or socket wrenches like this works very well to grab hold of it and then start to turn it. You just have to break it loose, but once you do, it comes off very easily. You have to snake this thing around, constantly moving it around that cage, but eventually you'll get it out. And when we pull it out, you'll see the bottom here, which is the pickup tube, and that is what I snapped off with the original one, which was a bummer. So just kind of getting an idea with what we have. Lots of rust. We do have this little nut right here we will take off and clean up. I did not really clean up or touch the valve assembly because I said it's refurbished and renewed from Colemanparts.com. This is a bath of vinegar. It's kind of what I like to do with these parts. It removes rust. It cleans up any copper or brass parts really well. So it's kind of a one-stop for me. Put everything inside. I let it soak for a good 24 hours inside of the vinegar. And there's the 3-piece fuel cap. Just the cap itself. I didn't put the inside of it because it looked fine. The spirit cup was a little tarnished, so I went ahead and pulled that off and put it into the vinegar as well. You can see it definitely has a little bit of marking to it. Be careful with your needle. Leave that all intact. The rest looks very good, but we will put that spirit cup after I take. That's a piece of carbon felt that I add to all my stoves with a spirit cup. Really helps with the preheat process, but that goes into the vinegar. I put some fuel into the tank and give it a good stir outside. I just showed you guys that I do shake it up, pull it out, and you can often get quite a few impurities out. You can see there's some, I don't know what that is, but we got it all out and it's nice and cleaned out now. All parts were soaked in vinegar, like I said, and then cleaned up on a wire wheel, either a brass wheel or a steel wheel, depending on the parts. And you can see how much better this piece already looks. Looks super good. We're putting on our spirit cup, which also looks excellent. I should have taken a small wire wheel and cleaned the inside, but I didn't. And I really didn't think about it till now, but maybe I'll go back and do that. Put my little piece of carbon felt back in. Do that now while it's apart. And here's the little nut. You want to put this not all the way up, but close to all the way up. And then begins the treachery that is putting this thing back together, because, you know, optimally you would take the valve stem out and the valve packing out, but given the fact that this was a refurbished, valve and all that is brand new, then I didn't want to mess with it. So it's a little bit of a pain to sneak it around, and get it. And I did not do this correctly. I'll show you guys. I line it up correctly as far as the valve stem in relation. I did mar up. You can see right there. You can see I messed up the entry for the pump, but that's easily fixed. We fixed that down the road. Once it's where you want it, tighten down this pump or tighten down this little nut, and that keeps it nice and in place and really does stop it from leaking. I've never had an issue with one of these. I did back off just a little bit on the tightness of that. And whenever you want to put one of these three pieces back together, put the inner piece on, tighten down your cap as much as you can, and then screw the little screw in as tight as it will go, and that really should do exactly what you need. This is the pump assembly, and it's nice and cleaned up. Just put the first piece on. This is a little collar, and you want to tighten this collar all the way down till it bottoms out. Then you'll put your pump leather on, and then there's like a little oddly shaped washer there, you can see. Keeps pressure just the way it should be. And with these, you do want to tighten this down all the way. Just snug, just like that. And after this, I let this leather sit in oil until I was done. It probably ended up sitting in the oil for about an hour, which it could be longer if you want, but that's how long this one, you can always retreat it. Here we are putting the pot supports back on. Pretty simple process. You can see how well everything cleaned up. You just put the cotter pin through, and I cut these down beforehand, and that was a pain, let me tell you. Things are hard to snip off. No reason to leave them full length. And you can open these up any way you want to. I chose to use just a flathead. And once you get it started, you really just need to pull that apart any way at all, and it's not going anywhere. Here's the last one. And we got all our pot supports back on, which I show you. Play a little game, up and down, up and down. Not my favorite design, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. Here's our knob. You'll notice I didn't do anything to the gas tank. I have a sandblaster that I need to kind of get going, and once I do that, I will get all of these. And there you can see the needle. Nice little shot of the needle, cleaning needle coming up and down. I'll get all of these tanks cleaned up and repainted, at least the ones that I want to. Putting this back on here. And this is where I notice that should be over on the other side next to the actual fill area. But I'm not going to mess with it or fix it because, again, I'm going to be taking it apart again when I do the gas tank. And so I'll just fix it then. But you do want it on the other side. And there's our bell at the top with the flame spreader and all that on there. Here we are putting our pump leather back in and the whole pump assembly back in. I did not take out the check valve. I tried even with the tool and it did not want to come out good, and I didn't want to mess it up, and it seems to be functioning fine. So I sprayed it with carb cleaner like crazy, filled up that tube completely with carb cleaner, let it sit, and it seems to work fine. So I didn't mess with it. With these old stoves, you can press your luck pretty easily. And there it is, looking pretty nice. So I'm going to put some alcohol into the preheat tray. Again, mine has some carbon felt, which I find really helps. Once you have it in there, I give it about 15-20 pumps to kind of pre-pressurize the system. And then I flip the cleaning needle up and down and leave it in the correct position according to the directions. Here I've already lit my preheat tube or preheat tray, and open up and give it some pumps, and it really ran really well. I have to be honest, I was very pleased with this stove and how it performed. I did get it started when I first got it very carefully, and it didn't run anywhere near as well as it does now. That thing was super tight, so I needed something to grip it. My hands are all oily. And there is a really nice blue flame. Super nice. I do go back and adjust the knob on that valve stem, and I just back off a little bit so that it's not as hard to open and close that knob. So there it is, guys. This is the Coleman 520 military stove. Not a full-on restoration, but a very, very good cleanup. I will complete a restoration with it by redoing the tank, like I said, once I get my sandblaster and everything going. Hope you guys enjoy these types of videos. I have quite a few videos where I take these old stoves and refresh them and get them going well, disassemble them, clean them, reassemble them. Hopefully answer a lot of questions out there as to how to do that, because I've watched quite a few videos on how to do that, and it's very helpful. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to Paleo Maker MD, make sure you do that. And also check out my main channel, Paleo Hiker MD. I'll leave a link down below. Have a lot of stove videos. I test all these stoves there as well, so check that out. And yeah, I keep growing my collection. As always, guys, appreciate y'all checking out Paleo Maker MD, and stay tuned for more videos real soon.